Hey everyone, Miriam here, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm an illustrator based out of the United States, and technically this is my first artist vlog, so we'll see how it goes. So fall is here, and in the spirit of fall, I wanted to document some of my process for a large piece that is based on Dia de los Muertos, or in English known as Day of the Dead. For those who may not be too familiar with Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, it is a holiday celebrated in Mexico to remember and honor those loved ones who have departed. It is celebrated during November 1st and November 2nd, and we basically put up altars and their photographs in order to remember them. And it is said that the spirits of the dead return during these days to spend time with their loved ones. So a couple of months back, I stepped away from my corporate job, and it has actually given me some time to reflect about my life choices, and it's given me time to just sit and really take my artwork seriously. And one of the main elements that helped conceive this idea for the painting was that, unfortunately, my grandfather, he recently passed away. And I had to stop and really think about what I was doing with my life, and if I was really happy with where my artwork was going. So that element got me really thinking about life and death, and especially with Dia de los Muertos coming up, I started really thinking about hanging out with my family and how I don't really hang out with my family as much, or I wasn't really hanging out with them when I had that corporate job. And I said, I have to change that. That needs to change now, because I don't really know when, if I'll be here in a year or so. Like, I don't know the time that I have here. And sometimes, I suppose one thinks that they may have time to do things that, that they enjoy later on, but I figure, well, one never really knows. So yeah, in thinking about my family and all that, I really started digging into where I came from as well. I've been learning a lot about my culture, being from Mexico. I was born in Puebla, Mexico, and I realized that I don't really know a whole ton about where exactly I came from. Not as much as I think I should. So I've been learning a lot about my culture, about since my last name is Aztec. I started digging a lot into that, and I haven't really found much, but it has inspired this painting a lot, because I started thinking, well, in one way or another, my ancestors live within me. Maybe like in a DNA type, because they, their genes, their DNA run through me. They're in my blood somehow. And I know I carry some traits from my mother, and some physical traits as well. So even though I will never really know my grandfather on my mother's side, I can kind of imagine maybe how he may have looked like, or even like my great-great-grandparents or something like that. So in doing this piece, a lot of the figures that I came up with, like the skull figures, They're just kind of like, obviously they're made up. I will never know my ancestors like that, but I just kind of imagined them being around during the pre-colonial era in Mexico, and then after the colonial era, and during the Mexico Revolution. So I kind of went back and I was looking up a lot of references as to how people dressed back then, and that's kind of how I came up with the characters in this painting. And I just kind of figured out the color palette as I went along. I didn't really have anything in mind that I was like, you know, I must make it this color or that. Everything just, it really kind of came organically. I didn't want to, like, I guess, try too hard about it, because it was just mostly like, I just let my instincts kind of guide me with this piece. And it was really kind of like a wild experience, just really painting this and kind of thinking about, you know, my ancestors, and then in a way kind of guiding me. That's kind of like what I was thinking when I was doing this piece. So I was going in the direction of, normally, like for instance, when I make some decisions, I just kind of get like, sometimes I get worried about life and whether I'm just doing the right thing or not doing the right thing. But then I think about, well, my ancestors, they probably made a lot of crazy decisions too, and somehow I'm here, right? Like, even my parents, you know, they decided to move to the United States when I was very, very young. That was a wild decision, and somehow I'm here, making the most of it, or trying to make the most of it. So that's basically a lot of what I was thinking about. How maybe they're somewhere on the, like, other side of the veil, kind of watching over me. And I also ended up drawing out my great-grandmother in this. She is the one that I imagine is having my back. I also really wanted to illustrate and honor the immediate relatives that I knew about, which is my great-grandmother and one of my uncles. So I basically drew my great-grandmother having her hand on my shoulder, symbolizing that, you know, she has my back. But not only that, that just also symbolizes the rest of my ancestors on the other side of the veil, quote unquote, you know, the veil, basically having my back and watching over me, but also watching over the rest of my family, which is something important to me, because I feel that we really need these ancestors, like, to help watch over us, and we just need to have their vibes, their guidance. And that's kind of what I wanted to illustrate in this painting. But I also really, really wanted to illustrate the fact that, yeah, growing up, I didn't really learn about any type of Mexican history, not from my public school, and very little from my parents. They told me enough, but I feel like, you know, maybe I should have known more. I've definitely been learning more now that I'm an adult. And I think it's a very important thing to teach children, or to teach young adults, that to know where they came from culture-wise, because it, you know, it really I think it really helps to just complete a piece of that giant puzzle, especially when you're growing up and you're just trying to find your identity and just like, you know, asking yourself like, who am I? I think for me it is very important to know where I came from, lineage wise and just like culture wise. So I also wanted to illustrate that in this painting. So now after 40-ish plus hours, I don't know, I always forget to like count the time I'm spending with these paintings, but yeah, after all that, it's finished, finito. We can finally stand back and just take a look at the artwork, which is always my favorite part because I'm just like, all right, yes, awesome, done, it's born. Let's just move on to the next. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoy it, and let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what your experience with Day of the Dead, or getting to know your culture. And yeah, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to click like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks all.